Hardware and garden stores.
Joe, I'm rolling.
Just a minute. Stop. Don't start.
Okay.
What's the deal with McAfee?
I have his number.
When are you going to call him?
As soon as you get going.
Okay. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1484, Feb 14, 2025. It was 50 degrees on this day in 1882. It was 25 below on the morning of this day in 1875. And as I warned you, I can announce that the first 60 that shows up on our calendar occurred on February 15th. That's tomorrow. In 1921. It was 63 degrees on Feb 15, 1921. So that would be
flashlight king.
Yeah.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
We're joined by the Reverend Jerry McAfee. Reverend, you want me to call you Reverend or Jerry? Hi, Jerry.
Sorry about that.
Reverend, do you prefer Reverend or Jerry?
With the names I've been called, it doesn't matter.
We've talked in the past, Jerry, over the years, and it's good to chat with you again. And I have one question for you. What the hell is going on with this violence interrupter money?
Well, and the short answer to that is they was trying to do the right thing too late.
Okay.
By that, I mean, for the last 2.5, 3 years, however long it was started, they've had no checks and balances.
Right.
None. No paperwork, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When Luana and Todd Barnett gets in and start setting up the systems of checks and balances now that you need, now you talk about moving the money to the county.
Mm-hmm.
That don't make sense to me. And let me just be clear, where we are at with Mary Moriarty, I don't trust that. And so my point was, if you got a system that you paid for, you now got a fair system of checks and balances. Why are you moving it now? Let's see how it works out, because many of us are not that comfortable with the county either. Because if they was doing that well, we wouldn't be seeing the things that we've been seeing on the streets.
But, Reverend, what I understand from Luana Brown, who resigned, she resigned because nobody was paying attention to the requirements that they were issuing. People were turning in bills on a piece of paper, for example.
She's not lying.
Nice talking to you. I think the Reverend, did he hang up on us, or?
I think he just got
I think he might have. You know what happened?
Bad sell.
Well, he might have got another call.
You think so?
Something like that.
Well, if you're on
We're going to try him again.
You're going to take another call, unless it's Domino's.
You can talk. It's okay.
Well, the alarm's not going to go off for silence.
No, I know.
It's just rookie.
I'm thinking out loud that something. Is his line busy?
Yep.
Okay. Then he's just having a little bit of trouble with his phone system. Let me tell you in the meantime, perhaps we can get Jerry back. This story, which we've been talking about, did make the front page of the Star Tribune today, and we learned that there are council members. Chris, don't call. Let him finally figure it out, and then when you call him, you won't get a busy signal. We have learned that some of these ridiculous council members are still alleging that they've been threatened. It's one of the reasons we wanted Jerry McAfee on. He's alleged to have threatened them. By my reading of this, he absolutely did not. Latricia Vitaw said, I was there, and I certainly didn't feel threatened. But he has a non-profit that does violence prevention work. It's called 21 Days of Peace, and he's received $3 million, $3 million direct appropriation from the legislature in 2023. And one of the things I wanted to get to with McAfee is, of course, I would suspect he is fulfilling some proper accounting procedures.
I would imagine
You just can't
so.
get $3 million. But this isn't an indictment against McAfee, but the way Minneapolis and Minnesota is run, that's up in the air. I have no idea.
Yep.
And then the other thing we're trying to nail down is I still don't understand what difference it makes where the money comes from. He is campaigning for the money to continue to be dispersed from the city of Minneapolis, and Robin Wansley and others apparently say no, it should be dispersed by Hennepin County. In the absence of Jerry, we can conclude this because I'm not sure what we would have learned, but it was a good attempt to have him. There's obviously a phone problem. But what we're witnessing is just an alley fight between grifters. I'm not saying McAfee's a grifter. I think McAfee might be a voice of reason who's getting in there and not using those exact words as saying, I object to this alley fight among grifters. Let's do it in a better way. But in his absence, I can't speak for him. That's fine. We tried. Jerry's got a problem there with his phone, and we'll just do this some other day, Chris.
As for being threatened and feeling threatened, I think those three council members would feel threatened anytime anybody raised their voice about any topic at all. That's just the kind of person they are.
Well,
People they are.
exactly. And threats in their world are different than threats in the real world.
Right. And that's why Latricia said, I don't think so.
Yeah. Say, I have. That's fine because we're covered with news today in Garage Logic.
I'm happy for
We're
that.
bathed in it.
Yes,
It is a special day.
it really is. It really is a special day.
Oh no,
It's
Yeah,
special.
very special.
it's Valentine's Day.
And it's on a Friday.
Is that with a B or a V?
That's with a V. And you know what? Today you cannot say it at all. I've given you in the past. You've been allowed to have your funny clown moment 3 times a show. That's not going to exist today. I have too many important things on my mind.
I was
Before you get to those very, very important items that I'm sure we're going to flesh out and get really angry and yell at each other about, the world wants to know, Joe. I've taken emails, text messages, phone calls, TikTokers. I've taken all sorts of messages wondering what you are going to do tonight with your bride on Valentine's Day.
The day is young. Haven't been to the store yet. I better come up with at least a card.
Yeah, at least a card.
When I
Handwritten
told her
note.
that, you know what she said? Don't bother. They've all been sorted through.
Got it. Oh, by now?
Yeah. I didn't get around to it. I feel very small about how I feel.
I have a great idea.
Yeah.
On
What'd
the way
you do,
home,
Mr. Love
We'll do
Boat?
a shot together. We'll do a shot.
that's
and
fine. That's
and then maybe
wonderful.
one shot will lead to another shot. Next thing you know, we'll be on the floor laughing and giggling. and
That's
having
wonderful.
A good time. But I think what you should do is stop off at the gas station on the way home, get her one of those rolling meat logs, and bring it home for her.
Either that or a can of Seafoam.
Hey,
You know.
I was approached by 3 people at the airport today, one being Ray Christie that said, right out front, Happy Valentine Day. I'm quoting them. And 2 other GLers that were very excited to listen to the podcast.
Speaking of GLers, are you ready for this?
Let's go.
Tony Clears writes, "Hi, fellow dummies. Hail the Flashlight King."
Hail.
Hail you. Boy, was that unenthusiastic.
Wow. Nobody
Jeez.
joined in.
I'm filling up the family truckster at Fry's grocery store in Apache Junction, Arizona, and 3 of us have today's podcast on. Small world. Oh, and it's 86 degrees at 2 p.m. This was dated yesterday. So he's out in Fry's, Arizona, and 3 other people in the gas station are listening to GL.
I love that. I love that.
How about that?
The reach, baby.
That's pretty good.
Why did you never get a place down in Arizona?
It sounds like I'm going up in wherever you're touting. And then back to the violence interrupters. Bob Wolf has a great question. My curiosity for all of the violence interrupters receiving money is when they submit their napkins for payment, do they all have a W-2 filled out? Their 501c3 or tax info on file so the city can issue them a 1099 at the end of the fiscal year? You'd think this would be the only way to balance the books and ensure the recipients declare the income they pay on their quarterly taxes to the Minnesota Department of Revenue and IRS without penalty. P.S. I've been discussing with Kenny. I'll see you at the Great Race. All right.
Yeah.
The Great Race coming to its starting position in Minnesota this summer. We've mentioned that before.
Bob's a GLer from Alexandria.
All right. Is he in the race?
No, but his buddy is, and his buddy is quite the character, and I think we're going to have some fun with this guy.
All right.
He's a real nut.
And I should have known this.
Right off the bat.
Well, you have a lot of people complaining about Musk, and despite what people think, I wasn't complaining about Musk the other day. I was wondering about Musk. I am pleased with much of what he's doing, all right? But here's, Jordy reminds me, Obama appointed numerous czars. Remember we went through the czar phase?
Yes.
He appointed numerous czars during his administration to oversee specific policy areas or initiatives. While the exact number and titles of these positions varied depending on the source, here is a comprehensive list of approximately 30 czars appointed by Obama. And I should note, I read through these, I should note not one of them had anything to do with trimming money. So Obama came up with an aid czar, a border czar, a car czar, an economic czar, an Iran czar, a regulatory czar, that was Cass Sunstein, a science czar, a technology czar, an urban affairs czar, on and on and on and on. The whole Obama administration
thing.
was full of czars. A lot of czars.
A lot of czars.
All right, so maybe Trump would have been better off with the news gathering institutions to call Musk his economic restability czar. You just come up with a BS title.
Let's
and just
go.
call him the czar. That's what Obama did, and everybody loved Obama.
Right.
He
It'd be
was.
fun to see what cost to the budget and to the public all of those czars were.
Boy, that was a lot of czars.
What it cost us.
He had a faith-based czar. He had a Great Lakes czar.
For what?
Well, because you're guarding the water. I would love to be the Great Lakes czar.
You'd be a good one.
Yeah.
I'm
you'd fit
already
in.
seeing the uniform, like an admiral. Maybe with a three-cornered
Nice hat. Yeah.
Oh,
I see
boy.
a spinnaker.
Oh, yeah.
Spinnaker on the mini spinnaker
Oh,
on the
I
desk.
would love to be the Great
This
Lakes
guy
czar.
can name off the acreage of every lake in the United States.
And that's all that's required.
Right.
And you know what? Speaking of former President Obama and
Happy Valentine Day.
Yes.
did you guys see his tweet earlier today?
Whose?
Obama
I did
Mr.
not.
T.
wishing
on Twitter. Give me a
wishing
break.
Michelle a happy
Happy Valentine Day.
Wherever
32
she is,
years.
Wherever she is.
Go look at the comments.
Oh.
Where's Jen? Things like that.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
Hello. Or Dave.
Where's she at?
Or Dave.
Nothing uninterests me more than Obama's marriage.
You brought it up though.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, where was she during the inauguration?
I
Where
know
was she during the?
no, and I think it was a very valid thing because what I was pointing out is that was an affair of state where a couple is a command performance. Both the Carter funeral and the inauguration were command performances for heads of state. So that's what piqued my curiosity to wonder where she was. Beyond that, I don't really care where she is.
You're not worried what they're doing.
I've never been a fan of the Obamas. I know that we're all supposed to love them,
You've made that clear.
but he more than any president he just completely squandered any chance for racial healing. He just squandered it, and it was horrible the way he squandered it. And I'm sad that he squandered it. I had great hopes, and he blew it. It didn't work out.
Anyway, if he's seeing Jen, Chris, who would Mrs. Obama be dating? Who would you speculate that she would be seeing?
You're really trying to get me into trouble.
Well, then
aren't you?
don't fall for his silliness.
Take the bait.
No.
Don't fall for his sophomoric behavior.
I'm not sure, Kenny, but I just hope she's happy.
Martina Navratilova, or
She's a mother of two young adults.
Exactly.
I don't
Come
know
on,
what.
she's a mother.
Rosie O'Donnell?
May I say?
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. Just,
Speculating, you know.
May I say that among Walz's other sins, are you aware that he took out all non-public school funding from his budget?
Saw that.
The governor's proposed budget defunds students by eliminating non-public school aid. What that aid did was fund some testing, some textbooks, counseling, nursing, and busing. All right? But he's merely a tool of the Minnesota education. He's a tool of the unions. They're going to do whatever he tells them to. And, of course, they don't want your child educated by anyone except them. So they finally got to Walz and said, look, you can't be giving the private schools any funds whatsoever for anything. And who cares if that means a kid won't be able to go to
Such a
the
political
neighborhood
move.
Catholic grade school. Or
Such
whatever.
a political move. It
Yeah.
makes me sick.
The governor is backing away from the state's commitment to fund essential services for all students. The governor's budget proposal completely eliminates non-public pupil aid and non-public transportation, and he's cutting more than $50 million a year. He is I can't even come up with words anymore, what I think about this guy.
A dunce.
The proposed cuts equal roughly $540 per student in lost assistance for non-public pupil instructional nursing and counseling aid. That's based on July 2024 estimates. And roughly $540 per student in lost assistance for non-public busing aid based on fiscal year 2023. Now, to all of you Mysterians who are bitching and moaning about me right now, saying, what right does the government have to fund public education? I pay taxes for public education, so I'm paying for both.
Right.
I don't expect anyone to break out a violin. I'm not suggesting that. But who are you people kidding? You're talking $540 of public assistance for testing and busing when I'm paying in my property taxes about $97,000 to $10,500 a year per pupil in public education. That's how it breaks.
To feed them, to educate them,
That's how
to
it breaks
bus them.
down. Well, feeding is a bit controversial because a lot of the kids, they were caught up in the fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
These cuts will increase the cost of non-public education and therefore raise costs for families, including likely tuition increases, potentially putting their school of choice out of reach. Do you think Walz cares about that?
I think not.
He absolutely does not. So what can we do here? You can contact your legislators today. It certainly won't do any good to contact a Democratic DFL legislator. They are also merely wooden tools of the Minnesota Education Union. And they wouldn't consider this discrimination because these are kids who shouldn't be going to a private school in the first place. They should be enlisted in the public school, in the government schools. So, but that's your only recourse. This commitment to support non-public schools has been going on for years, decades. But it took this fellow who I'm running out of words for to attempt to put a stop to it. I don't know if it could be saved or not. I'm just telling you that if you're concerned and you're operating on a budget that's thin enough where this challenges your ability to send your kid to the school down the street, which happens to not be a public school, maybe you want to get on the computer right now and start creating your letter to your legislator. I hope it does you some good. I sure as hell wouldn't hold my breath in this state.
What did you say the grand total was? I'm
$50 million a year.
$50 million.
Yeah.
Is there any way to raise that privately? Can we just say screw him and
that's
somehow
the private schools have been raising money for 100 years, and they'll continue to figure out
so it would have
how
to be on top of their current efforts, or they would have to double their current efforts. I see.
What do you think grandparents are for? What the hell?
Right.
You know.
Oh, they pay for that kind of stuff?
Yes, they do. I'll say they do.
In more
But you know
ways
what?
than you know.
But I know some grandparents who are more than happy to do it.
That's good.
Say, you probably wouldn't run into this problem in South Dakota. They seem to have a lot of things figured out in South Dakota.
I think they do.
Including a legislature that is truly part-time. Not like these stiffs here that work all year round collecting their per diem. And
I don't think that construction you're seeing right there on the YouTube video, I don't think that's a new office building for...
no, that's probably a new manufacturing facility. Sioux Falls is busting out with opportunities. If you're thinking about creating a business or moving an existing part of your business out of the state of Minnesota, which is not tax-friendly at all, not welcoming to entrepreneurs, not welcoming to business itself. Consider Sioux Falls. They got a population of more than 290,000 people. They're very tax-friendly. Here's what you need to know. No state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. Look at that. That's a lovely city.
Yeah, that's cool.
What is the
Little
river that runs
pedestrian
through
bridge?
Sioux Falls? Reavers, you should know that. You're damn near live that far away on a daily basis.
River.
You can find out everything you need to know and it's one word, Sioux Falls Development. SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. We're running a video right now of the construction underway in Sioux Falls. It looks like a lovely...
Big
lovely
Sioux
place.
River.
The Big Sioux
Big
River.
Sioux.
Well, there it is, running right through town.
Who
Look at
was
that.
Big Sioux?
That's a Sioux.
Oh,
That
Sioux.
Yeah.
I thought it was like
And
Big Sioux.
thank you, Sioux Falls. Precision. Hey. SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Give me a second while I unbutton my shirt. Seafoam motor treatment. It does it all. We're talking cleaning critical engine areas, preserving starting vapors so that baby she fires up when it's 24 below out like it was here yesterday. It loosens up that sticky crud in your crankcase when you add it to the oil. That means if you dump some in the crank, I'm going to go with 100 miles before your next oil change. Doesn't matter. Maybe make it 100, 200, whatever. All of that crud will break free and then drain out during the change. That's good for the crankcase. But most of all, Seafoam motor treatment helps preserve what we call gasoline these days for more than just a month or two. Dump Seafoam in your daily driver if you need that high mileage gem to keep running awesome. Or do like Joe does, and I've started doing, just dump it in all your gas cans that you use to feed the mowers, snow blowers, weed whips, and everything. And always, always, always treat those cylinders with Seafoam motor treatment before you put them to bed for the season. It truly is a wonderful product in the world of bad gas. It's Seafoam.
Joe, do you know how I know Kenny was lying at the beginning of his very good Seafoam ad? He hasn't worn a shirt with buttons on it probably since his wedding day.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I believe it.
Even on
I
Happy.
pictured him unbuttoning those that kind of long underwear that has buttons. You know? See, I'm going to say my piece on transgendered females in sports. But I'm going to keep it brief, and I'm going to apply garage logic to it. As we know, Trump campaigned on his insistence that he would separate girls in sports athletics. And he did create an executive order to that end on February 5th. Minnesota is rejecting it. I think only Minnesota and California are rejecting it.
How fitting.
And Keith Ellison is rejecting it. The Minnesota State High School League is rejecting it. And, of course, Walls is rejecting it in an effort to maintain Minnesota's status as the marquee state for transgenderism in the country. Okay. I just went down a rabbit hole just for fun.
You done some checking?
This shouldn't even have to be done. It's so painfully obvious. But John Haidt, look up a female runner. Her last name is Bowie, Olympic winner Bowie. Her first name escapes me. She's probably the most elite 100-meter dash female runner in the country. And trust me, this is all leading up to
Tori?
Tori Bowie. I believe she won when did she win the 100-meter dash?
In the 2016, she won the silver in the 100, the bronze in the 200, and the gold in the 100 at the 2015 and 2017 World Championships.
And do you have her best time ever in the 100-meter? I think it's 10.49 seconds, if I'm not
10.78 in the
10.78 seconds. In 2017, 15,000 boys and men around the world, according to the Amateur International Athletic Federation, beat that time.
Really?
Okay.
15,000 men and boys. It might be 60,000, but I suppose the Amateur Athletic Association was only referencing statistics available to them from meets. And they 15,000 boys and men beat that time. Same with the 400-meter. The athlete escapes me. I believe it's Felix. Same thing. 15,000 boys beat the most elite woman in the world, her time for the 400-meter.
Woo!
Okay, here's where I'm going with
Where
that.
you going?
And this is the part that's ridiculous. The biology is different. And I'm sorry to all the trans people, but that's just a fact. Boys have greater lung capacity. Male biology results in greater lung capacity, bigger hearts, longer arms, longer limbs, bigger feet, bigger hands, broader shoulders, longer limbs, and on and on and on and on. So your daughter is fated to most generally lose to a male.
Okay.
And yet in this state, we want transgendered females who were born male to be able to compete. And I don't think it's even happening that often, but it is. But here's the deal. The proponents of this to allow transgendered females to participate on women's teams, they must know that, right?
Sure.
They have to know that.
They have to know
They're
that.
not that blind to. I mean, these are the people that always tell you to follow the science. Well, the science is a biological male is constructed genetically much different than a biological female.
Okay.
That probably goes back to when the guys had to go out and shoot a dinosaur and the women were gathering berries.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
It's just a fact. So therefore, I think the proponents of allowing transgendered females know this. So here comes the garage logic part. So that helps us realize that something else is at stake. They can't be that blind. They know that Dennis, who becomes Denise, is more than likely to win his high school swimming meet in the butterfly. All right?
Okay.
His arms are longer and his hands are bigger. Okay. So what are they up to?
What are they up to?
I wonder, and I don't know, I'm just wondering if it's another attack by the mystery on patriarchy. In other words, competition itself might be considered an affectation of patriarchy. It might be that competition itself is wrong because it's inherently unfair. It's inherently unfair because not everyone can succeed. So therefore, we should get rid of it. Because if this continues, and you will allow transgendered females, and I don't care, by the way, if you're a transgendered female and you want to be on the swim team, that's your problem. Good luck to you. I have no horse in this race. But if this continues, that is the end of biological female athletic competition, because what you're ending is competition.
Right, because you don't ever see a woman trying to compete against men.
I mean, you can if they're good enough. But
we
you're
don't,
right. You don't see it.
You never see that.
But my point is, they obviously know this. So what are they up to? Well, I think they're up to the end of, athletics will be just one communal kind of workout, like we gather at the broom factory to sweep the sidewalk. Because you can't have competition this way. It doesn't work. You can add all the asterisks you want. You can divide them up into weight. You can divide them up into height. And that means, 4 girls might be on the same team as one transgender female because they meet the same height and weight qualifications or whatever they come up with to pretend they're still competing. But the fact is, you won't have competition. Okay. There's no other way to look at this.
Could you imagine putting, I don't know, Bogosian or another defenseman on the Minnesota Frost?
Oh my God!
Just think he would he would kill somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody would end up dead.
Yeah. Or conversely, take a Frost member and put her on an NHL team.
Oh my God!
She would not survive.
Right.
No, it would be brutal.
She would be hurt.
Yeah.
If not murdered. However, not murdered, killed. So that's all I was going to say about this, and I there's no other way to look at this. The people behind this are so radical that they're not blind to this biological fact of life. So therefore, they're up to something else. That's my theory.
Well, you know what else it would do? What, like Kenny just suggested, then it would provide validity to what Brian Bellows was being called by the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Right.
Joe, I don't think that's the primary reason. I think that's just a benefit, a side benefit. I think the primary reason is what you've been talking about for years. They're oppressed, and the system is the oppressor.
Right. And to solve that, we're going to end the system.
I don't think they want to get rid of the system.
Well, it won't work. It won't work. And why do females have to bear the brunt of this? Where are all the people that should be standing up for females?
That's the mystery that I don't understand.
And I say I have no horse in this race. I've got 6 young girls in my camp, and none of them are a threat to win the U.S. Open. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
One of the kids, one of the girls last year, asked her if she wanted to go to a Twins game, and she said, "Depends on where you park." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, I don't want to walk too far." So I'm not dealing with.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm not dealing with a group of athletes.
Being somebody that's actually had to park 20 blocks away from the Wild game with you because you got your own special spot, I understand where she's coming from.
Yeah. And I had something else that I wanted to say. Oh,
where are you going to park?
Boy, I got
Grandpa?
a lot of stuff today. Do you know? Well, we talked about this yesterday, but do you know that the Department of Education, in the fraud hearings, is pleading the fifth?
Yeah.
Well, why? What? Huh?
The damage has been done. Let's fix it. Let's go.
They're pleading the fifth. Well, here it is. Here it is right here. It's a Bill. Is it Bill Gahn? Yeah. Bill Gahn, who's in charge of the fraud tracker at the American Experiment. It was a bizarre scene yesterday, meaning when was February 12th? Wednesday. It was a bizarre season. Well, this is written February 12th, so it was Tuesday. It was a bizarre scene Tuesday this week in the State House of Representatives Education Policy Committee. The commissioner of the State Department of Education, Willie Jett, he had to step in when Heather Mueller conveniently left. Right?
Yes.
Willie Jett, time and time again, deferred questions to his department's attorney. The occasion was the first ever hearing held on the Feeding Our Future scandal in the State House. Imagine that. It's the first time they're getting around to it in the State House because the Republicans finally, for a while, had a one-seat majority and could whip together this committee. to which the Democrats agreed to, but you don't get subpoena power.
Right, limited power.
The hearing was only possible because House Republicans hold a slim majority in the chamber for the first time since the scandal broke more than 3 years ago. When Democrats were in the majority, no hearings were held, and the fraud just continued. And it continued under Walz's watch. Governor Walz appointed Jett as Education Commissioner in December 2022. 3 months after the first indictments were handed down in the case. In committee, the Office of the Legislative Auditor presented their scathing June 2024 120-page report on the department's mishandling of the free food nonprofit. House Republicans put together a 96-second montage of Willie Jett dodging question after question. The video of the full 97-minute committee hearing, including the Office of Legislative Administrator's presentation, can be seen here. Go to the Center of the American Experiment and watch this.
Okay.
Because these people who presume to really represent the public, they're covering their own ass.
Got it.
They have nothing to do with the public. Initially, the department's lawyers cited the ongoing courtroom trial of Amy Bach as the excuse for not answering questions. As part of her criminal defense, Bach has sought to blame MDE for the scandal. The department doesn't wish to give Bach any new ammunition as she faces a jury of her peers. For the department, it's a convenient dodge, as courtroom trials for the dozens of remaining Feeding Our Future defendants have been scheduled well into 2026. With additional Feeding Our Future indictments a real possibility, the catch-all excuse will likely extend for many years. In other words, it could go on for years that House Republicans try to get information out of the likes of Willie Jett and will be told we can't comment on an ongoing court
I hate
case.
that cop-out. It makes me angry.
This Walz administration is hands down the worst in the history of the state. There's not a doubt about it. You can even stop taking my word for it and just do your own research. This guy is a load. I won't say of what.
Yeah. You'll make a fine senator, huh?
Better not.
You know he'll win.
Are people that? Yeah, they are.
Yep. Although Joe tried to convince a young man to run this morning via the cell phone. Pat Garofalo issued a tweet this morning, and he basically said, I'm not saying I'm going to run, but I'm not saying I'm not. And Joe said,
So
get
I
your
called
ass.
him up and said, get your ass out of the produce aisle and let's go here.
You apple eater.
Yeah.
Right.
Quit examining husks of cabbage or whatever the hell we what's that
Heads.
called?
Head.
A head of cabbage.
Head of cabbage.
Thank you. You are here for food and you never fail.
I'm done for the day.
Because you answered
And people,
one.
I'm sick of these emails, and people are really bothering me with this celebration of the St. Valentine's Day. I mean,
Happy
it's so,
Valentine's Day.
Yes, it's so predictable. It's easy for me to make him go crazy. So I'm using reverse psychology. I'm going Donald Trump on him.
Why don't you
I'm
tell
not
me?
saying it. Now he's waiting for me to say it.
MDE's
You know?
excuses went well beyond the ongoing federal trials. MDE's attorney, Marin Holden, also cited attorney-client privilege on multiple occasions. You can see this on the video. This dodge raises the questions of who is the client? Aren't we the clients?
Yeah, right. We get to know.
Wasn't this our money? Oh, my God, these people are bad. And who is the attorney? Ultimately, state agencies must be answerable to the people through their elected representatives. You don't get that in Minnesota right now. You just don't get that. I see your hands, and I'm not ready for you.
Okay.
Finally, MDE hid behind the excuse of human resources personnel privacy. So they dragged out all of their
Yeah.
walls they could put up. $250 million of taxpayer money went missing. 40 individuals have been convicted of fraud, and the state agency responsible won't answer a single question about what happened. You know, and the longer they delay, can I be blamed for thinking that, yes, they were profiting? That these individuals themselves were stuffing their pockets, including you, Walls. The longer this is delayed, the longer you stonewall, aren't we entitled to start believing you obviously must have stolen some money yourself?
But how does
Are we entitled to that speculation?
You
the
can
longer you hide and the longer you deny and the longer your Department of Education is not allowed to comment, what are we supposed to think?
I want answers.
You stuff money into your own pockets.
Yeah, thief.
Well, I'm serious. What are you supposed to think?
Well, we can't. Data Privacy Act. You can't.
They're not
Learn.
thinking. They don't care. They're not thinking.
In a different era, Glahn concludes, a department commissioner refusing to answer questions in a committee hearing about his agency's conduct would have been summarily fired by the governor or subject to impeachment proceedings. Well, this governor isn't going to fire anybody. He's held no one responsible for this. Are you stuffing your own pockets, Walls? Is that what we're going to find out? That you people helped steal the $250 million? Which is now a total fraud, by the way, in the state is $610 million and rising. Are you all enriching yourselves?
Okay, but let's think it through here, because if there's that amount of money, it wasn't other than the what $80,000 in cash that in the suitcase for the bribery thing. Cash is not used. So there's an electronic transfer. How come we can't go back to bank records and say, hey, Somali Ali, what did you do with this money? Where did it go? There's got wire transfer somewhere.
First of all, one of the answers to that would be that the Minnesota Department of Education is not giving you any names of who was involved. They're stonewalling all questions by the committee.
Well, then,
and they drag out an always available attorney to front them.
Then that is a red flag, and then that is cause for suspicion of who's got their hands in the money.
Here's where we are. The people of Minnesota who paid for this money, who produced this money, are being told by a lawyer, not representing us, but a lawyer representing the Minnesota Department of Education, that you people have no right to know any of this.
It's for me to find, to know and you to find out.
Yeah.
That's their defense.
Well, I like that track. The people of Minnesota that worked hard,
we produced
had
the
that
money.
share taken out, sent it to the government in good faith.
You're not entitled to know what happened.
Bill Schumer.
Who's Bill Schumer?
Bill Schumer. I was going to say bullshit.
Let's take a break and get Johnny Height.
Whoops, I just did.
But first, I'm going to tell you about our friends
bunga.
Yeah.
at Fast Photo Film Lab in Bloomington, Minnesota. Whether you're looking to digitize your photos or fix your microphone during a live ad, fastphotofilm.com is going to be able to help you out. Photo spelled with an F, by the way. Your old-fashioned photo lab that offers in-house film processing, photo scanning, photo restoration, custom greeting cards for any occasion, photo books, and so much more. If you've got a photo idea, they are going to be able to help you out. And it's the best time of the year to dust off that old box of photographs and receive 50% off their Pro Scan prices. The more photos you have, the more you're going to save. That's right, the greater the savings. Every family has that box of memories, and often they don't know what to do with them. Guess what? Digitize them for safekeeping that generations can then enjoy. FastPhotoFilmLab.com. And you can also go into check them out on their website. But how about this? They can take your favorite family photo or any photo that you have in mind, and they can make a professional art print for your wall. How cool is that? I actually saw some of their work online. It's really neat. They can print on all kinds of media, fine art paper, canvas, and even metal prints. It's really cool. So check out their website. It's fastphotofilm.com. Photo spelled with an F. Fastphotofilm.com. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
The Joe Souchere Show.
I got news for you.
on
Happy Valentine Day.
Yes, the patron saint of Valentine.
It's that time again.
is it?
Tis the season.
It's once again time to recognize one of you, our faithful listeners, as GLer of the Week, brought to you by Masters Maples. Are you going to put a thing up on the screen?
So,
Not today, we're not.
Oh.
so Heidi Ekman's reign is complete now.
No, it lasts forever.
Oh,
She's
it
a
does?
winner.
Okay,
but
good.
the new winner is Shelley Lilquist.
No.
Liljequist.
Are you serious?
From Maple Lake, our GLer of the Week. Lilje. Liljequist.
She's a cousin of mine.
Thank you, Shelley, for being a loyal town council member continually since November 1, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She was at Christmas last year.
Along with our warmest personal regards, you're going to get a $50 gift box from Masters Maples. Winners are sending in pictures of their haul already. I don't know what that sentence meant.
HAUL?
Yeah. So somebody gets the gift pack and they send us a picture of it?
Yeah, you know, a nice little social media post of the loot.
Oh. Listen every
So good.
Friday. I will salute one town council member each and every week throughout 2025 as GLer of the Week. If you're a town council member, go to garagelogic.com and join us today. Congratulations, Shelley Lilquist from Maple Lake.
Oh.
Here's John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news update brought to you by North American Banking Company. Lawyers questioned FBI Special Agent Jared Carey for the second day in a row on Thursday, the fourth day of the trial of Feeding Our Future founder Amy Bach and Salim Saeed, co-owner of Safari Restaurant. Carey testified about the FBI's video surveillance on Wednesday of Safari Restaurant, saying it did not show evidence of the nearly 6,000 meals the site claimed to be serving every day during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, I have to laugh.
During cross-examination yesterday, defense attorneys played clips of the same surveillance video from 2021, which did show some cars picking up boxes that could have contained food, but Carey said it still wouldn't have been enough to match the thousands of meals per day they were claiming. He said, I could tell the difference between thousands of meals and a few meals being distributed. Prosecutors also called Stacy Coppin, the Nutrition Services Director for St. Paul Public Schools, to the witness stand. She testified that even the busiest sites at St. Paul Public Schools handed out just 1,000 meals per day during the height of the pandemic, only a fraction of the meals Safari Restaurant claimed to serve. She said, in no building under any model or circumstance did we see these numbers.
And in the meantime, John, while proceedings are being held in court, a House committee is attempting to get to the bottom of this and how it could happen, and they're being told that they're not entitled to any information.
Pleading the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Minnesota lawmakers are considering a Parents' Bill of Rights. A version was introduced into the House, and its first committee hearing was held this week. Nationally, advocates of the bills have called for more oversight of what's in school libraries, instruction of topics related to race, sexual orientation, and gender identity, and medical care, including vaccinations. The push for the Parents' Bill of Rights contained momentum after the pandemic. At least 18 states have adopted some version of it, according to the Parental Rights Foundation, which is also supporting the Minnesota bill. Project 2025 calls for a national Parents' Bill of Rights. Previous attempts to pass similar legislation have failed in Minnesota. Republican Minnesota Representative Dawn Gilman hopes this year's bill that she offered will get bipartisan support. A horrible story from the Star Tribune today. A man hanging onto a fleeing vehicle outside a Bloomington hotel while struggling with a passenger fell to the pavement, hit his head, and died, according to police and newly released court records. Police said the incident occurred shortly before 10 o'clock January 25th in the parking lot of the Renaissance Hotel near the Interstate 494 and Highway 100 interchange. It led to the death on January 30th of 53-year-old John Lewis Tepley. Deputy Police Chief Kimberly Clausen said the driver of the vehicle, an SUV, did not stay. Detectives have a pretty good idea of who that is. No arrest, but we are getting statements to follow up on. We don't think the driver knew that Tepley had been severely injured. According to the police affidavit, a detective was told that Tepley was in Full Tilt Tavern in Bloomington on the night of the incident and met with a woman who solicits older males. They left together in the SUV. Police have identified the woman, who is 30 years old and has convictions in the Twin Cities and Texas for engaging in prostitution. The hotel's exterior surveillance video showed the SUV arriving at the front door, Tepley walked toward the hotel while the woman quickly gets into the rear passenger door side seat and closes the door. In response, Tepley turned around, opened the rear passenger door, and a struggle ensued. As Tepley and the woman clashed over the door, the driver began to accelerate rapidly. Tepley was violently pulled to the ground, hitting his head and knocked unconscious. The driver did slow down after Tepley fell, but never stopped to check on his well-being and has yet to be found as of late yesterday afternoon. Tepley's family told police he arrived in the Twin Cities January 22nd on a work assignment, and he was scheduled to catch a flight at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport later on in February.
Okay, confusing story. It involves Tepley and a woman he finds in a bar.
Correct.
Who was driving the car?
The other fella, that's a good question, and the part that's never addressed. And I don't know if the fellow was with him when they left. That's what I didn't
Was it
understand.
possibly a throuple?
Or was it a service?
I don't know.
Was it a car service?
Oh, sure, an Uber. Gotcha.
Could be, yeah.
Well, so then what? She said, "Go, go, go," and he's latching onto the car, and the Uber driver slows down but didn't stop.
Yep. That's what it sounds like.
Okay. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
From the Pioneer Press, the folks at the Minnesota Zoo thought it would be a cute Valentine's Day fundraiser.
Happy Valentine Day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Name a bug after someone who bugs you. And have a
See? Get it, Joe?
and then have a zookeeper feed that bug to an animal today.
I think you should be fed to an animal. You're Chris the bug.
He's bugging right now. With
Yeah,
his
you too. Don't you let yourself off the
Oh, I
hook.
haven't said a thing.
Okay, see now, Joe, what you could do, here's how it works. It's $15 per bug. So you could pay the zoo $30, name a bug Chris, name a bug Matt.
I'm going to.
Matthew.
Yeah.
And then
Two
they'd
Ts.
be eaten by an animal.
What do you want to be eaten by?
A liger.
A liger? How about you?
I want a hippopotamus.
Okay.
for
I don't know if
Christmas.
we have a hippopotamus at the local zoo.
Are
Or
you
do
going
we
to
have a
ask me
lighter?
who I want to eat me? Or are you going to let that one
I'm going to
go?
let that one go.
Yeah, I'll let that one
Because
go.
he has a feeling he knows where that's going to
I
go.
got a list. I
Right.
got a list of
Good idea. Yeah.
long list.
Now, the weird thing about this is and the zoo didn't plan this, but it turned political. And how did it turn political?
How did it, John?
Well, people started asking to have bugs named after President Trump, Elon Musk, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, and, of course, Governor Tim Walz.
Yeah.
Sarah Lenander, the senior marketing communications director with the Zoo Foundation, said, "We didn't anticipate that at all."
Well, then you're a moron.
That's
Now that I think about it, I'm going to name my bug Walls. Not you two.
Got it. Okay.
As of Thursday afternoon, the Zoo Foundation had received more than 1,000 donations from 19 countries and all 50 states. Most of it, of course, was exes or ex-friends or just someone who in normal life bugs people every day. The Zoo Foundation held a similar fundraiser in 2016, raised about $3,000. You have until midnight tonight to do this. Donate $15 to the Zoo Foundation, and zoo staff will name a bug after whomever you wish and feed it to an animal at the zoo.
Have you ever noticed on the rare occasions when Walls does appear before a group of friendlies or a friendly radio show, how fast he talks? Notice that the next time.
Okay.
It's just
I've been trying to get an
part
answer.
of his makeup.
I've been calling reporters trying to get an answer off the air. Maybe you guys know. Would Walls' personal bank account be public knowledge?
I would think not.
What do you
Yeah.
have to disclose? Investments? But that's not your...
Do governors have to do a financial disclosure like senators?
I do not
Well,
know.
I stumbled on an article from 24 talking about Walls' uncommon or common
You
finances
doing that, Rook?
Yeah.
from Yahoo Finance. And it discloses everything you want to know, but it doesn't give us his personal balance. And because I was intrigued by the question you were asking, Joe, earlier on has he actually profited? And then Matt said you should be able to track that if it's, a bank transaction. And I was just wondering, is it possible to track that?
I'm at the absurd point of wishing that Walls personally profited over the idea that the whole government is that incompetent.
I I think Matthew had the key point that we all just glossed by. I think if he did, we would be able to track that, and his bank account would show that. And, it'd be nice to have $1 million in a bag of, a paper bag, but you can't really do much with that.
Outside of bribing a juror.
Yeah, right. But you can't buy a house, or
True.
you might be able to buy a car. I don't know if you have to have proof of where it came from.
State officials, elected and appointed public officials in Minnesota must file statements of economic interest. These statements include information about sources of income, financial holdings in real estate. The statements are reviewed and updated annually in January.
Well, they're not going to tell us they had an interest in fraud.
That didn't help me. What did you use? What key phrase did you use for that answer?
Do governors need to file a financial disclosure statement?
All right.
And if he wouldn't he put that money someplace where it wouldn't count as an asset?
He'd be hiding her in the Cayman.
Right, you would have to be
just throw it in your bank account.
Essentially, it would have to be laundered before it made it into your bank account.
Yeah.
It sounds like the whole state capitol under his leadership has been a laundering facility.
But Joe, I mean, to your point is, I love what you were trying to say, but I just don't think it's possible.
Well, no, what I'm saying is with each attempt you make to block the public from having any knowledge of how this scam worked and who's responsible for it, the more you shouldn't be surprised that people speculate that you have also stolen some money.
Okay, all right. That was clear to me. Yeah. Speculate being the key word there.
In national and international stories, let's start with an update to a story we had yesterday. President Trump saying in the afternoon yesterday that Ukraine would be involved in peace talks with Russia, although Kiev this morning said it would be premature to speak with Moscow at a security conference today. The president, speaking to reporters at the White House, said Ukraine would have a seat at the table during any peace negotiations with Russia over the ending of the war. Trump said U.S. and Russian officials would meet in Munich today and that Ukraine was invited. However, an advisor to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said Kiev does not expect to hold talks with the Russian side at the security conference and thinks the U.S., Europe, and Ukraine need a common position before any talks with Moscow. President Trump yesterday signing a presidential memorandum laying out the plan to impose reciprocal tariffs on foreign nations. Trump saying during a press conference in the Oval Office, they charge us a tax or tariff and we charge them. The president said under the plan, the U.S. will treat other countries' non-tariff policies as unfair trade practices that warrant tariffs in response. Those include, he said, value-added taxes or VATs, and other practices that the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative deems to be unfair trade limitations. Consumers sharply curtailed their spending in January, indicating a potential weakening of economic growth, according to a Commerce Department report this morning. Retail sales slipped 0.9% for the month from an upwardly revised 0.7% gain in December, and even worse than the Dow Jones estimate for a 0.2% decline. The sales totals are adjusted for seasonality but not inflation for a month in which prices rose 0.5%, with consumer spending making up about two-thirds of all economic activity in the U.S. The sales numbers indicate a potential weakening in growth for the first quarter. Some fallout over President Trump's takeover of the Kennedy Center. That became official yesterday when he was appointed officially. Award-winning actress, writer, director, and media mogul Issa Rae canceling her sold-out appearance at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Showrunner Shonda Rhimes, who was appointed to the board, resigned from her treasurer position on Wednesday. World-famous soprano Renee Fleming and songwriter Ben Folds also announced they'll leave their posts there as artistic advisor at large and artistic advisor, respectively, of the National Symphony Orchestra and rock band Low Cut Connie. You know them, Joe.
Yes. I like that band.
By them.
I bet they're going to be precious.
Did we have them on at the fair? Yes.
No, we didn't.
Didn't we?
No.
Rock band Low Cut Connie canceled an appearance there. The band's Adam Weiner said, I was very excited to perform as part of this wonderful institution's social impact series, which emphasizes community, joy, justice, and equity through the arts. Upon learning this institution has run nonpartisan for 54 years and is not now, I decided I won't perform. He said, maybe my career will suffer from the decision, but my soul will be better.
Aren't you precious, Adam? No one's done more for Israel than Trump, you phony.
Rook, you're thinking of the cover band that we had on, Low Cut Shirani.
Oh, Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
I'm seeing a year-long residence by Kid Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of my favorite shows during the year, and I'm going to guess it may slip.
Well, you might
You can still enjoy it.
You
Come
can get
on,
it. You
it's
can watch it. You can get it.
I would
always
like
got
a
the
a
great-
separation of arts and state.
Yeah.
That I would prefer that.
Yeah, I love the idea that it's been nonpartisan. Have you ever watched one of those things? It's I bet it's
I watch it
lefties on
every
parade.
year.
Yeah,
We need somebody neutral like Springsteen.
Yeah.
that's government
Tell
music.
it like it is.
Now, if that's government music,
That's it. It's
then
government
he should
music.
be on, right?
That's right. I don't think Precious Bruce would
Many-
not go on for Trump.
Many times when you talk music, Joe, it's not making any sense to me.
I know, but
still
I'm not
understand.
talking to you. I'm talking to a
I
larger
think
audience.
I think to clearly define it for John, it's anti-government government music. That's what
That's how
Springsteen
deep it is.
There it is.
Anti-USA government music.
There it is.
It's like,
Well, that'd be it.
I'm
My
really
favorite about
confused.
Springsteen is when some of his anti-government songs are used during fireworks displays.
Yeah.
That always cracks me
Right.
up.
or by candidates who, you know.
Right. Yeah, and it's the same thing. That's why I
really
want a
get it.
separation of the arts and the state.
Why don't we thank Mr. Height?
Sure.
And then I believe we're touching base with our own Mr. Royce.
We are, but I need to tell you first about our friends at North American Banking
You gonna do it in a
Company.
nice slow tempo?
I'm going to read it fast like Governor Walz doing a radio interview.
All right.
How does that sound?
Okay.
Hey, here's the deal about North American Banking Company, who have been proudly sponsoring John Haidt's newscast over the years. But they have 6 Twin Cities locations to serve you. In fact, I got to make a stop today at the 50th and France location after the
A
show.
little overdrawn again?
Yeah, we got to run the numbers. But you could also see them in Roseville, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. North American Banking Company offers all of the services as the other big national banks. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. They're going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other big national banks, but you are going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And they are also locally owned and operated. And here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps you business owners solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. Maybe you need to replace a glass door that one of your employees knocked over. They can help you with that as well. That's why they work quickly. My God. They deal with numbers every single day, but you, your family, and your business are never going to be one of them. They've been at it since 1998, and they made a promise to deliver a better banking experience for their customers. So your first step is checking them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
Sedona.
Hey, Pat.
Yes, Joseph.
I got an invitation for you. You want to join us at the golf show next Friday at the Minneapolis Convention Center? Because if you do, I can get you exclusively.
Oh, this is big.
A divot repair tool that says Garage Logic on it.
I think that is too big of an offer to refuse. I will probably try to be there. Yes,
All right.
I will try to be there. I'm not sure what my schedule is, but I can certainly make room for a visit at that time of day. For goodness sakes, you're going to be there the normal hours.
Yep, we'll be there at noon, and you can get your tickets online at mngolfshow.com. Your ticket includes 10 free greens fee passes with your online purchase. Find out more at mngolfshow.com. Pat, I mentioned this the other day, but Joe had a top 10 all-time sales encounter when he was given the divot repair tool. He said, "Oh, this is a great piece of S."
Well,
no, I think it costs at least 2 cents to make one of those.
So that's how we should promote it, a POS divot repair.
Come on down. I'll make sure we have enough POS divot repair tools.
Is it metal or plastic?
Plastic. We didn't go big time.
Metal wasn't in the budget.
It's going to break the first time you stick it in the grass.
Well, I think the next time I fix a divot, it'll be a first anyway. I don't play anymore, but it was not a big divot. I might stomp on it a little bit if I took it out of the fairway or something.
You know what you can do with that?
I wasn't going to bend over.
No. I got a question for you, Pat.
Yes.
Last night I watched a bit of the USA just obliterating Finland in this Four Nations tournament.
Well, let me tell you something. Finland's missing their top 3 defensemen.
Uh-huh.
And Finland also cannot, these are only NHL Finns, so they cannot reach into their league over there where they have this pro league. That's where Koivu and all these guys came from. They cannot supplement their roster with non-NHLers to represent Finland. So Finland and Sweden are just the orphans in this tournament that's going to end up being the U.S. and Russia playing for the championship.
Okay, that wasn't my question. Here's my question. If you're an NHLer from Canada, but you play on a U.S.-based team, can you play for the USA?
Yes, of course you can. Yeah, that's what this is yes, of course.
So a Canadian, a Frenchie even, a Pierre Bouchard, if he played for the Islanders, he could be on the USA team.
No. He'd be on the Canadian team.
Well, that's what I asked you.
I thought you were asking me if they played in the U.S. and they were Canadians, can they play in Canada?
I knew that. So Tkachuk last night was the player of the game. He had about 100 points. Well, anyway, I learned. I didn't know. I thought Tkachuk was from Calgary. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, that's where his dad moved after, his dad was an original Canadian, wasn't he? And then he's third generation, I think he is. So, he's a big boy, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
He's a load.
He answers a question with a question.
But I got my question answered. You're playing for the land of your birth.
Yes, the land of your birth. But,
right.
I think if you become a naturalized U.S. citizen, which certainly is not as easy as it was a month ago, but that you can also play for, the U.S. or wherever.
When are we going to spice things up with this long and storied tradition of the Four Seasons tournament, whatever the hell it's called? Let's mix in like Trinidad and Tobago. Let's get them in the mix.
Here's what's wrong. Now that we've announced that Ukraine is quitting, that we're done. Now that Russia can take half of Ukraine and we're not going to do anything about it, the war is over. And then Judd was telling me this earlier today. The World Cup, it will be next time it's played, and we will have the commies in there and the Czechs. And this year, because they couldn't get Russia in there, they didn't feel like they should bring the Czechs, so they just went with 4 teams. But it's going to be a quick little 2-week World Cup. You're gonna have the Olympics, right? And then they're gonna take a year off when they don't have any of this crapola, and then they're gonna have a World Cup, and then they're gonna, every other year they're gonna have this international break. He was telling me. So
I don't know. I think the world could have lived without this, but I guess it's another moneymaker for the Forum in Montreal.
I
the
am
Molson
guessing
Center.
that I will watch as many as 30 seconds of this clicking because I don't really care. I mean, what does it mean if the U.S. beats Canada in the Four Nations Cup? Who cares?
Yeah.
We don't know who's on the team, who's hurt, who's begging off. I don't know. It's something. It's for some reason they wanted to incorporate this break in there because next year they're going to the Olympics, but I don't get it. I don't quite understand.
Are you feeling a little of the fever now that the ballpark is down in Fort Myers has got people in it, the pitchers and catchers?
You know what? Yeah, I suppose I'm curious, but to see what's going on. But not. I don't have the itch. I don't really do. I don't know what happened the last couple of years. Spring training was so boring, and it was so hard to, produce anything that was interesting that I don't really miss it. No, I don't.
Do you anticipate
maybe I will in a week, but not now.
Do you anticipate a competitive Twins season?
Well, let me say this. Last year, I saw our stories today. We got Chris Paddock, who's pitched. How many innings last year, Chris? 80.
I can look that up
like
quick.
That.
Yeah.
And since we got him 3 years ago, but he's optimistic as heck, and he talks in the third person too. He gives you a Chris Paddock once in a while.
Yeah.
But kind of a Herschel type deal there. But I saw that we had a story today on Matt Canarino, who I believe now is in his 7th season and has pitched 89 professional innings. So, and he looked great in spring training about 5 years ago, and we've been waiting for him ever since. And last spring, I got conned into doing a story about I'm 100% healthy, I'm ready to go, and he got a sore something. I don't know what it was, a sore shoulder or something, and didn't pitch an inning. Well, poor Phil Miller got stuck right in the look out for Matt Canarino now story this year. He's 27 now and has pitched 89 innings in professional baseball.
Chris Paddock, Patrick, had the best season in a Twins uniform with 88 innings pitched last year. That topped his 2022 performance in which he threw 22 innings that year.
And then the year before that, we let him sit out recovering from Tommy John.
That was 23. He only had 5 innings pitched in 2023.
Oh, remember that he came and pitched in the
playoffs. Yep.
That's why we thought he was going to be a starter, member of the starting rotation. He pitched 2 innings, so I don't know. I think the pitching might be okay. I don't know, Joe, but we hate left-handers. Apparently, we only got 2 out of the 24 on the roster or something. But I don't know. I don't like the lineup that well, and the assurance that Byron Buxton is 100% healthy is really kind of falls on deaf ears, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
After all this time.
Well, in the years of your estate, you'd be down there by now.
Oh, yes, yes, I would. I would have been here in January trying to make up BS. So, did you, by the way, I got something for you to watch.
Okay.
I just tweeted this out. The end of the Wayzata-Hopkins basketball game yesterday. The 2 big rivals out there, probably the 2 best teams in the state that are going to end up playing in the section final probably. So the boys, it's been feisty all night. The 2 coaches have been screaming at each other and blah, blah, blah. So Wayzata's down 1, inbounding below their basket. The coach they throw it in, and the ball gets hacked away from the kid. And the Wayzata coach thinks it's a foul. And crazy Kenny Novak from Hopkins, he gets the call. So anyway, they go down and they miss a free throw, and Wayzata loses. Hopkins wins by 1. In Hopkins, the Wayzata kids line up for the handshake, and the coach waves them off the court. They don't do the stupid handshake.
Really?
So now all hell breaks loose.
Oh, yeah.
The crazy Kenny Novak, 70 years old, got MS. He's still nuts, screaming at people, and he's screaming at their coach. And now as they start leaving, the Hopkins students start chasing them off the court. Somebody throws a garbage can at them. So this is
wow.
This is going to be fun when they have the rematch. That's for sure. Apparently, Hopkins has a star kid, a kid named Smith, who's a good player. In fact, Johnny Tower was there last night watching him. But Smith has a flexing problem. Every time he scores, he flexes. Like an NBA guy.
Yeah.
So it's got a chance to be a rematch of epic proportions, I think.
So you think he's going to be the next one hit by a garbage can?
Yeah, I know if he ever has to go play at Wayzata, but I don't know where the section is. But
would the rematch be the section finals?
Yeah, in all likelihood.
Yeah,
1 and 2.
that would be fun.
So, yeah.
I can report that the flexing and the holding of the 3 is done all the way down to 7th grade basketball.
No.
What's a 3 mean
really?
if you shoot a
Okay.
3-pointer?
If you make a 3-pointer, and there's a young man that my son plays with that does it, and I want to remind him, that's the first one you've made out of 18 attempts.
Right.
Show me the flex. Show me what you're talking about.
That's like
Just this.
Anthony Edwards making it the other night after he went to 2 for 17 on
Yeah.
threes or some damn thing.
Anthony had a chance to win it last night.
2 nights ago.
Wednesday night.
Last night they won.
They
Big
crushed
upset
the
over
Thunder
there.
last night.
I was close. I meant the previous night. Yeah.
Against the Buck.
Yeah,
I
against
can-
the Buck.
Okay, so you figure this out, Joe. They're playing Milwaukee's 2 best players aren't playing. Milwaukee's just here to get beat. They're fully willing to lose, right? Because they're giving Giannis the night off, and they're giving Dillard, for no reason, they're giving Dillard the night off. He played the night before, or 2 nights before. So they come in here, just say, come on, beat us by 15, and then we'll go home. And the Timberwolves figure out how to lose to them. Mostly because Ant went 10 for 33. But so last night they're playing the best team in the league. They've only lost 9 games all year. Rudy doesn't play, and they played great. Nas Reed and Jade McDaniels are out of their mind, and they ended up beating them by 15 or something.
Well, then that tells me Oklahoma came in here to take a night off.
Yes, yeah, that could be. Or sometimes they did play really good. I was there for most of it. Once it became secure, I did bail out. But yeah, they played great. So
just a little history for me with my career. I never did the flex, but when I played for John Tower Sr. at Nativity Grade School, I did use the 3, but it wasn't because I made a shot. It was to point out there's 3 seconds left in the game. Can I go in now?
Is it my turn yet,
Yes,
Coach?
there's 3 seconds left. Is it my turn?
What was your play? The double
The double pump layup.
double pump
It's a
layup.
classic.
Only if select few can execute that.
That's right.
Hey, Johnny,
Go ahead.
okay, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Johnny, I heard the pregame discussion before I came on. What is your favorite all-time The Band tune?
The favorite? Oh, boy, that's tough. I'd probably have to go with The Wait just because.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yes. Oh, good. So we agree on something. That's good. I'm a big. Everybody else has done The Wait. The hell with them.
You know, as long as you brought up the weight, I don't know of a song that has a more interesting history. There's so much mythology attached to the song. You know, what does it mean? Is it biblical? Is it? John, you correct me. Didn't Robbie Robertson buy a guitar? What am I thinking of? Pulled in Nazareth. Didn't he buy a guitar in Nazareth, Pennsylvania?
I don't know that part of it, but the stories I've read about it, it doesn't have any real mystical,
No
mythical.
meaning whatsoever. It's just words.
Yeah.
Let's get really high and put some neat words together
Yeah.
and put it to music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the perfect song.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
You think that Robbie, as a youth, you see him now, and you're not very impressed, but as a youth, do you think he ever got lucky on the road, Robbie?
Yeah, so did Danko probably.
Probably did okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robbie was
Options.
a good-looking
Options.
fella.
Options. You're right, Kenny.
Pat, he's no longer with us, by the way.
Yeah, he died.
What?
Robbie died.
They're
Oh,
all
Robbie
gone
did
now,
go.
Pat.
When did Robbie go? A couple of years ago.
3 years ago.
There's
maybe?
no living member of the band left.
Correct.
August
You
of
know that-
2023.
I was in spring training in Orlando when the first one of them died down there, and he was doing a little thing by himself at some nightclub. and
Yeah,
they
in
found
Winter
him
Park. That
dead.
would have been Richard Manuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they found him dead in the hotel room.
I
the
think I
next
stayed in
day,
that hotel.
taking every drug known to man. Probably, I don't know. Is that it? Is that how he died? John overdose.
I think he hung himself.
I think he
committed
hung himself
suicide.
in the hotel.
Well, I suppose when you're playing a little cocktail lounge in in Orlando after you've been as big as they were for a while, you might contemplate that. I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
He and Danko had some pretty rough problems with substances too. So
Danko ended up weighing about 4 bills.
he did. Yeah.
Well, that happens. You know.
Pat, we'll see you Monday.
All right. Yes, I'll be in there live and in person.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, thank God today is Friday. TGTI Friday. It's the scramble!
Happy Valentine Day.
I'm Karen. I wish you a wonderful St. Valentine's Day, my
Happy
friend.
Valentine Day.
I've got great news for GLers. Great news.
What is it?
Republican Representative Chip Roy of Texas introduced a bill yesterday that would repeal gas can regulations implemented under President Barack Obama's
That's a ray of hope.
administration. It really is. In the early 2000s, the vents in gas cans were removed due to a series of environmental regulations aimed at reducing vapor emissions.
Here's today's ray of hope.
The vents, by design, prevented a vacuum from forming inside the gas can and would allow the gas to pour out smoothly. But that we actually had idiots in the EPA
Can't believe it.
who thought that the vapor emitted by your gas can while you were filling your lawnmower was somehow injurious to the earth.
Nation of idiots.
I don't know how we got this far. So the regulations were implemented, the vents were removed, the stream of gasoline poured unpredictably. See, I've always maintained the newfangled cans were worse for the environment than the old ones.
Because you end up spilling more.
Because euphorians didn't know how to work them anyway,
Right.
and they spilled more gas. So they took something that wasn't broken,
Yeah.
not even remotely broken.
Yeah.
It had lasted the test of time. Since the first oil well was sunk into the earth, gas cans worked. But then they came along, and somebody from the EPA probably went out in the lawn and had it filmed that the vapors were choking her, and they fixed the can only to realize that it was just horrible. But no one, until Roy came along, has decided to do anything about it. And he notes the federal government does not need to be involved in every aspect of our lives, and we never needed them involved in our gas cans.
You know what this is going to do? This is going to drive prices down at the flea markets.
Well, yeah,
For
your old
gas.
gas. If we can now start buying real gas cans again,
Right.
your old ones have lost some of their value.
Exactly.
Right.
It was especially bad with the little 2-gallon or 2.5-gallon ones that you used to fill your lawnmowers and
Yeah.
snow blowers. God, you just make a mess everywhere with those.
You know, and as a responsible GLer, you know what I do with my vent? I open the vent to pour gas into the snowmobile, and then I just snap the vent shut again. I mean, that's what Americans were doing, but we needed a
just
government
so
regulation.
simple.
It really is.
Boom.
It really is.
Bingo, bango.
Bongo.
That's it.
Roy points out that, like many federal regs, they don't often accomplish their intended purpose. And even if they do, it's at the cost of convenience. While the justification for the regulation was to prevent emissions, the new design often leads to more spills, which in turn leads to more emissions. The Gas Can Freedom Act is what he's calling
The
this.
Gas Can
I love
Freedom
it.
Act.
I love that. The Gas Can Freedom Act will eliminate the unnecessary federal regulations that have made gas cans dysfunctional and allow Americans to return to simple gas caps that actually work. Roy added, it is long past time to make gas cans functional again. Can I have some fanfare music for that, or something that this is a wonderful, wonderful way to go into the weekend, knowing that soon now at your local, at Fratelloni's and at the Knack Hardware Lounge, you'll be able to go in and get a nice red gas can.
Isn't it amazing to you that this was a law and now this is going to be a new law?
Yep.
They are in every aspect of our life.
Well, plus the new law will have to undo the old law.
Which is just, all of it is just, what a gigantic waste of time.
You know what this
What
is?
if it doesn't pass?
Well,
I was
that's a
thinking
good
about
question.
that, John, and yeah, is there a possibility?
No, it'll pass, won't it? I would think.
Well, isn't the Senate and the House? They're both Republican controlled, are they not?
Yes. Yep.
So if you were to buy a new hat, this would be the McGuire.
But I mean, this shouldn't even be something that politicians debate.
Make
This
gas
shouldn't
cans
be
great again.
Yeah.
Kenny,
This shouldn't be a left and right thing.
Kenny, when Mrs. So-and-so went out to her garden shed and retrieved her gas can and popped the cap on the vent hole, that was creating as much emissions as 15 cars driving between Minneapolis and Ashtabula 42 times a month. So it had to be done.
I mean-
it had to be done.
We have to save the world.
Yeah.
These gas cans have to go. Cows are next. We got to get rid of the cows.
Do you guys remember when
They
we did
fart
a
a
show
lot.
up in John's neck of the woods at the old hardware store up in help me with the town.
St. Francis?
St.
St.
Francis.
Yeah.
Yep.
The owner, who was
Tim.
Tim, he gave me a gas can. I have a new old stock gas can, a real gas can.
You use it, or is it just on display?
Pre-regulation Euphorian gas can. I've never put a drop of gas in it. I've been saving it as a garage, it's garage art. But now, it'll be worth less.
You know what? I'll buy that from you. I need a new shop urinal, and that one will work perfect. I'll fill that thing right up.
I would not sully its aesthetics by giving you
The hole is just the right size.
giving you that for that purpose. Yeah, the
Don't
vent
you think?
hole.
Don't you think everybody that bought a new one got rid of it and went to a garage sale and bought an old one? That's what I did.
Yes.
I hated the new one.
I
so
will
went
say
and bought an
this,
old
John.
one.
I don't
know
own a new one. I never owned a new one.
one
You
of
know
my
what happened?
Ones.
Yeah, and this is where it came back to bit them with me because all of those cans, they all went in the burn pile. They all got burned up.
I do know one of my brothers reported, this would have been a couple summers ago, that the flea market that's in Elko, anytime anyone had
that.
a couple of old they were gone instantly.
Yeah, that's what
they sold right away.
Specifically, I'm talking about that Memorial Day, Labor Day. That's the
4th
best,
of July.
That's the best flea market out there. Yeah.
By the way, Senator, we got it wrong yesterday. Senator Tina Smith, who was announced her leaving the Senate, she did profit from her timely tactile systems buy. I'm reading now from what site is this? I don't know what the hell it is. Tactile Systems Technology. She bought it and made a lot of money.
Maybe that's why she's retiring so early.
That's a social media account called the Nancy Pelosi Stock Tracker. That's a pretty good one. So I guess Tina made enough dough. And in fact, she made 27% on her money.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Tina Smith's $100,000 bet on Tactile Systems paid off the 27% surge.
Wow.
Yeah. Only because.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is there more, Rook? I just want to keep you if I can.
No, this is your paperwork from yesterday.
Stacy, our drone geologist, has not weighed in on this yet, but the California coast has been rocked by 7 earthquakes in less than a day. This is from the Daily Mail, so it's either right or wrong. I have no idea. It's dated yesterday. The United States Geological Survey detected a 3.7 at 5 o'clock Eastern Time in the city of Hayward. Just 2 hours earlier, 3 earthquakes hit near Hayward and Petrolia. All 4 struck less than 12 hours after 3 seismic events rocked those same areas early morning. The point of this story is, and the Daily Mail does this about 6-7 times a year, is this means that Californians are now worried about the big one.
Ooh.
The big one, which is probably inevitable. I don't know that it's imminent. But they're on a fault there. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, they're mother rumbles over there.
Well, there's the Hayward fault and the other fault. You can get them. They got faults.
Yeah,
And,
no fault.
There's a big fault up there between San Francisco and Seattle.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There's my fault.
they're looking for
Right.
the big one.
Yeah.
Only because. I got it here. Don't worry. Only because they come to us all the way from the Traveling Lymans, temporarily headquartered in Lake Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's probably warmer than here.
I would bet.
You know what? Minnesota should be ashamed of itself on some of these days.
hell?
We
What do
didn't
we
do a
got? What do you
damn
got?
thing. Well, it was on this day.
Happy Valentine Day.
Happy Valentine Day.
That's why we were busy celebrating.
It was on this day.
Feb 14.
In 1833, William Watts Falwell was born in Romulus, New York. An educator and historian, Falwell served as the University of Minnesota's first president. He helped found the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, and he authored a 4-volume history of Minnesota. He died in 1929.
I bet that's where they get Falwell Hall.
I bet you're
Not the
right.
U.
See, that one I think is a legit this day.
Yeah,
in
that's
history.
legit. You got a
this,
building
This
named
next
after
one,
you.
I don't know. On this day in 1850,
214.
Faribault or Fort Snelling?
Fort Snelling.
Oh.
The Fort Snelling Post Band traveled to Stillwater to play for a Valentine's Day dance. I'm looking for cartoon bubbles.
Do they travel by steamboat? Yes.
No, Matt, there's no river between Fort Snelling and Stillwater.
You could get there. Just take you a while.
It took
You
you.
got to go all the way down.
What
there.
I'm seeing, though, is a bass drum about the size of a Volkswagen. Just one of those great big ones with red sparkle.
What road would they have taken?
Well,
there?
they would have taken
Fort Road.
a covered wagon. Their band, their equipment truck would have been a
That's a long haul.
A buck wagon.
That's a long haul.
Yeah.
River travel between Fort Snelling and Stillwater, I'm on it.
There isn't any.
Yeah, you go down the Mississippi.
You got to get off at some point.
You got to take a left.
cross
Well, you
the
could.
river
You're right. You
twice.
could go down to what is now Hastings.
It's going to take you 2 weeks.
Prescott.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where's the
You
river?
take a left.
Oh, I don't think.
a U-turn.
Where does the Mississippi hook up with the St. Croix?
Isn't it Red Wing?
Hey, you'd have to
No,
go down to
that's
Red
Prescott.
Wing, come back up.
Oh, Prescott.
Well, never mind. It's not
It
important.
took them a while.
Well, here's what's
I
important.
bet the boys had to get some provisions.
That's right. Here's what I'm wondering. We had St. Valentine's Day in 1850. We
Happy
had
Valentine Day.
Happy Valentine Day. Fool. Suck up.
We had Valentine's Day, and you went to the drugstore in 1850,
Sure.
and they had cards.
Get some candy.
Bubble bath,
some
cake
chocolates.
scented candles.
And finally,
The toenail, fingernail.
finally,
kit,
another weak entry to this bit. On this day,
On February 14th.
in 1852, Mankato, named with a variation of Mikado, the Dakota word for Blue Earth River, was founded.
You say Mankato, I say Mankato.
No N, Mikado.
Ah.
The Dakota word for Blue Earth River. It's not Japanese.
Miigwech.
That was founded. I don't care when Mankato was founded.
I do.
I don't think it's a. All right, I'll give you that one, but I ain't giving you the Fort Snelling Post Band went down to Stillwater to play at a hootenanny or whatever.
What about traveling by river?
Nanny.
That's where he wrote the band.
That's 173 years. Nothing has happened on Valentine's Day in Minnesota.
That's right. Isn't that something?
That's something.
173 years of this day in Minnesota, and our last entry for this day, Feb 14, is 1852.
It's because they were all making love.
Oh, my God. Why do you have to get creepy?
On Happy Valentine Day.
You weren't supposed
Happy
to do
Valentine
that.
I
Day.
can't help it. I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
We'll
goodbye.
be saying that all the way to the airport in the car.
Thank you, GLers.
You're welcome.
Please do us a favor. Joe announced the GLer of the week. That's easy for me to say. How about you become the next GLer of the week? All you got to do is have an annual town council membership, and you're automatically entered. And if selected, you will get that amazing $50 gift box from our friends at Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com. Just make sure you sign up right now at garagelogic.com. And don't forget to find Garage Logic on YouTube, where you can watch the show each and every single day on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Go to that channel, by the way, and you can see all sorts of behind-the-scenes footage, full segments, video archives, and so much more. And you can also follow us along on all of our social media channels, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Garage Logic. Oh, tomorrow, Saturdays of Such comes out for you special GLers. If you sign up for the Daily Logician, it's an email and it comes right to your inbox each and every single day. It also includes an episode of the podcast